diving into it and talking about Brent Venables and his new defensive staff mix up, the change around, him taking over. That's a big part. He wants to take full control of this defense. And when Zach Alley ended up leaving, he went to West Virginia. We can talk about what that was all about. Why would you go to West Virginia over Oklahoma? And there's some discussion there. I think partially taking on a bigger role. Obviously, money plays into it. There's a lot that went into that. But Zach Alley, Oklahoma fans loved him. He was a young guy, personable with the players, personable even with the fan base, and the fan base liked him as well because of how much he reminded them of a younger Brent Venables. Even sounded exactly like them if you were to close your eyes in press conferences. But anyways, Zach Alley leaves, goes to West Virginia, and Oklahoma's kind of left here scratching their heads, thinking, "Man, what's going to happen to this defense?" This defense that was one of the best in the nation last year. You ultimately have to recognize that Oklahoma had a top 25 defense, which is incredibly good. And really, even anytime that you're above in the top 40, in my opinion, you've got a good defense. You're looking solid if you're in the top 40. You've got a defense that you can work with and that you can win championships with if you're in the top 40. Top 25, you're talking like this is elite defense. And ultimately, I think most people would agree that that's what Oklahoma had last season in 2024. And so what happens when Zach Alley leaves? Of course, going after Jim Knowles, trying to get him from Ohio State. Ultimately, Penn State ends up throwing the bag at him and getting him over there. So Oklahoma loses out on that. But instead of trying to go out and get the next best guy, Brent Venables says, okay, well, if I can't have the best, then I'm just going to do it myself. Because who do I trust more than myself? Nobody. Brent Venables didn't even trust Zach Alley as much as himself. He gave him the reins on a lot of what was going on with the defense, but he didn't trust Zach Alley more than he does himself calling defense. And I think anyone would be crazy if they did trust someone else with their own team than themselves. And so, of course, Brent Venables, we know the defensive mastermind that he is, being with Oklahoma from the 99 through 2011 season. Is that right? Because I know for up until 03, he was just a co-defensive coordinator and transitioned to an assistant head coach, along with being the full-time defensive coordinator, and then on top of that, also the linebackers coach from 04 to 11, and then in 2012, I believe that's the year that he went over to Clemson, and joins Clemson to become a defensive coordinator. And of course, there was a lot more that went into that departure, but defensive coordinator with them, and then right around the 17, 18, 19 season, somewhere in there, is when he took over as an assistant head coach, and still controlling the defense, defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, all the way through, what would that be, 2021, when Brent Venables came back to Oklahoma. So, I mean, and Brent Venables has national championships under his belt as a defensive coordinator, even as the co-defensive coordinator with Oklahoma. So, looking at Brent Venables and what he's able to do on the defensive side of the ball, we don't have any questions. But the question would be, in this scenario, can he balance being a head coach and taking on all those duties while being the defensive coordinator, while trying to coordinate this defense and get them under control and make sure that they're still top tier, that they're still this elite defense that we saw a season ago from these Oklahoma Sooners? That question is out there, and I totally understand why anyone would question whether he's going to be able to juggle all of this, because it's a lot. One thing that I think we can throw out there as a little bit of confidence for Oklahoma fans is that he's got to juggle the head coaching position as well as being a defensive coordinator, but he doesn't have as many duties as a head coach now that we've hired Jim Nagy and what he's been able to do. And the staff that Jim Nagy has put together, with helping in recruiting, and helping in NIL deals, and helping in retention, and helping with the defensive, or sorry, not the defensive, but just the coaching staff. There's a lot that Jim Nagy is doing behind the scenes that has taken a lot of pressure off of Brent Venables. And Brent Venables has even talked about this. Jim Nagy it has expressed how much he wants to help the coaching staff and take all the pressure off them as much as he possibly can. And so I think that helps a lot, being able to take on this Oklahoma's role of defensive coordinator while still trying to be a head coach. Also, Brent Venables got a new linebackers coach to help him out, which takes away having to be the linebackers guy. And of course, I know Zach Alley did quite a bit of that, but Brent Venables does not have to be as directly hands on with the linebackers. He can step away, be head coach there, come in as defensive coordinator when they're as a team. There's a lot that he can do. And so he ended up bringing Nate Drilling in, who I think will be a very good fit. Came from New Mexico, and I think he's going to be a good fit. He's already had some good looks in the recruiting so far. We'll see what he's able to do as we get further on down the road. Also, Wes Goodwin is also helping as linebackers coach, and he was Brent Venables' co-defensive coordinator at Clemson. That's the connection there. And so, we can put a lot of faith in Wes Goodwin and Nate Drilling kind of helping out there. And, the big thing that I think is the biggest question is how much this staff chemistry with everything that's shifted around, how all of that's going to fit. But then also, how is Oklahoma going to recover from losing guys like Billy Bowman, Danny Stutzman, Ethan Downs? These are just those three guys alone were big parts of this defense. And again, I think that's the part that Oklahoma fans would worry the most about this defense. I don't think anyone really worries about Brent Venables being able to call plays on defense. They do worry a little bit about how well is he going to be able to juggle it, and that's one concern. But is he going to be able to fill in those roles?